I felt personally like you didn't let yourself down, you let your family down and your friends. I had got really overweight. Those free throws I shot at the end of that game had to be the loudest gym, loudest crowd I've ever heard in my life. Going into that second year, it was like, I don't care who it is. LeBron James could be on the other team. Like, I'm gonna kill him. Big play after big play happened, and we got to the end, and lo and behold, man, had his hands down, and God bless me.
Welcome to the Winners Club podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Wilson, and today I'm joined with D1 basketball player Tylor Perry. Tylor, thanks for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. It's a blessing.
Yes, sir. We're going to get into your mindset as a D1 athlete and also what it's like. But before we do that, I want to talk about your journey to become a D1 athlete. So can you give us like a quick backstory on who you were as an athlete growing up?
I started playing sports when I was like 3 years old. I actually was a football player at first. I played both, but like I fell in love with football at first, and that's what I did. And I come from a football family too, so for me, that was my first love. But then as I grew older, 4 or 5 years old, a couple years later, I got that basketball in my hand. And, you know, it was just like my best friend from there on out. I got connected with AAU early around the 3rd grade. And that's when I really started taking basketball very seriously. And then when I hit about the 7th grade, my mom made me quit all sports except basketball. And so she was like, it was time to take it serious. And then, man, it was a journey from the 7th grade on. That's when I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. Went to high school, started as a freshman on the high school team in Arkansas, Springdale, Arkansas. Played 3 years there, and then I ended up coming back home to Spiro, Oklahoma, and finished my senior season there. Everything didn't go as planned as I thought. I didn't get the offers I wanted coming out of high school. It was a real struggle for me. I had a couple D2 offers and some JUCOs, and for me, I had never thought about going JUCO. So it was like, it was awakening for me. It was like brand new for me. I was like, when it became a reality that I really might have to take the JUCO route, I was like kind of stressing because you got all these expectations and everybody telling you how good you are and everybody saying, oh, you're going to go big, this, and that. And the reality set in late into my senior year was like, okay, you're not about to get no offers. And so, like I said, I waited till literally May. I thought a Division I was going to come get me, and it never happened. And so I ended up taking the JUCO route, went to Coffeyville Community College in Coffeyville, Kansas. Spent 2 years there, ended up winning the national championship, and that's where North Texas found me in Kansas. And now we here 2 years later.
Yeah, we're going to get into all that. Let's go back to high school. So you went to 2 different schools. Well, in general, was that difficult, you know, trying to do well in one school and then you transfer it and having to adapt?
Honestly, it was harder for me going to Arkansas because I left my family behind. My whole family's from Oklahoma. On my mother's side, and so that's who I was raised up with and raised around, and so it was tough for me to leave my friends and family behind. I was coming literally from junior high straight into high school, and that transition isn't easy for anyone. And so for me, it was just like more of a challenge, of coming back because I already filled out who I was when I was coming back into my senior year. So that part wasn't really tough for me, but high school was fun, man. I enjoyed it.
Your senior year, you hit a buzzer beater 3-pointer in the state playoffs game, and you hit some more buzzer beaters after that. We're going to get into that. But in that game, was that your first like buzzer beater that you scored, the big one? And then, what kind of led you to score that buzzer beater?
That was actually my second one.
Okay.
So I had a couple in high school, but the weirdest part ever, it's crazy how God works, man. The one you're talking about, I hit my senior year in the state quarterfinals game. My junior year, I hit the exact same shot in the exact same spot in a quarterfinal game of state.
Wow.
So it's like, for me, I've always enjoyed those moments. I love those moments. I want the ball in those moments, and that's still how I feel to this day. I've always had coaches and teammates to trust me and put me in those positions. And so, like I said, when you put so much work in, you shoot that shot 100 times before you ever take it in a situation. So for me, it felt like I was at home.
Let's say junior year when that was your first buzzer beater. Like, were you really nervous leading up to that buzzer beater? Because I know, like, once you score it, then you're going to be confident after that. But, like, your first one, were you super nervous? Or is it, like you said, that trust in your training behind the scenes?
Yeah. You got to trust in what the work you put in. And, like I said, I shot that shot 100 times before I ever got to that moment. Nerves come with it. Of course, you're in a big game and your season's on the line. And a little bit of nerves come with it, but you got to stay level-headed.
Right. Took the community college route. And, like you were saying, that's a big shock to a lot of athletes. everyone kind of visualizes if you're really good, you're gonna visualize going D1. You're gonna, no one's gonna think about, oh man, I might go community college and then go D1.
Right.
So kind of, how was that making that decision? And once you got there, how that like changed your mindset?
It was a struggle, man. It was hard for me. Like I said, I had so many expectations coming out of high school. People around me and outsiders who, you know, had their own expectations for me. It was a struggle for me in high school when I was coming out, because it was like I started looking down on myself. And at this point, I didn't know what JUCO was. I had no clue about it. I knew guys that went JUCO, but I didn't know what JUCO really was. And so for me, it was like, I felt personally like you didn't let yourself down. You let your family down and your friends. Like, everybody thought you were going to be this big time guy, and you're going JUCO in Kansas, in Coffeyville, Kansas, where nobody knows where that is. And so it was tough, man. Like I said, I struggled with that for the longest. That whole summer, I had got really overweight. I came into school like that summer, going into my first summer session in Coffeyville. I went in really overweight because like working out wasn't a priority for me at the time. Like I had really like, I wouldn't say let go of basketball, but I had really like took a step back from it. It was like, man, I'm not as good as I thought I was. And so it really derailed me that summer. But when I got there, man, it was, like I said, life changed for me. I got to see like it was strictly about school and sports. And so you were there for those two things. And like JUCO isn't meant for you to go have fun, but the people you meet and the relationships you have while you're there, like that makes the JUCO fun. And so like that was two of the best years of my life when I was there. And I still talk to those guys every day, my JUCO teammates. And like I said, man, I got a completely different perspective when I got there.
That's important to hear. And you said that summer before. Do you think that was like your lowest moment in your career? And then how did you kind of get out of that?
Absolutely, yeah. I had never felt like that about myself ever. And it was just so hard for me because I didn't know how to deal with it. Like nobody was there to like tell me, listen, like you're gonna be okay. Like I had my dad telling me, pushing me, like, listen, you're gonna be fine. You go spend 2 years here, this and that, this will work out. But at the time, I'm 17 years old. I'm not trying to hear that. Like, I don't, that's going in one ear and out the other. Getting out of it, man, it was just, I started to believe in myself again. I got to JUCO, and like I said, that first summer was not good for me. Like, I really thought I was gonna get redshirted. And you got, like, still to this day, me and my coaches, JUCO coaches, talk about it. They were gonna redshirt me. Like, I wasn't gonna play that first year at all. Like I said, I went in overweight, and my coach ended up telling me, like, listen, I asked him, I said, what do I have to do to play? Just went to his office and I asked him, I said, the day before I left to go home for the rest of the summer, I said, what do I have to do to play? He said, you got to lose weight. I went home and I worked like a madman. I mean, like 4 times a day in the gym. My best friend, Jamal Norwood, was in the gym with me every day. My little cousins, Malik and Makai, they were lifting with me every morning. Like, it was like, I was like, all right, listen, my weight or whatever is not going to be the reason I don't play. Like, if I don't play, it's going to be something else. Coach ain't going to like me or something. Like, I'm going to get on that floor.
Your coach said, hey, you got to lose weight. What gave you the motivation to say, okay, I'm going to lose weight, instead of just saying, oh, okay, never mind, I don't want to play anymore?
The love came back. A little off subject, but I was going through a breakup at the same time, too. So, you know how that goes, man. You dealing with sports. Everything is crumbling down. I had to find something to love again. And I turned to God big time that summer because I didn't have nobody else. I didn't have a girlfriend to go to. I didn't have basketball to go to at the time. I wasn't falling in love with that no more. So it was like, for me, it was like, all right, listen, you're going to work on yourself and work on your faith. And so I got really close with God that summer. And, you know, I just continued to pray every day and talk to him every night. And it was nice, man. I spent in the shower crying, like, God, please help me. That's what really got me out of it. It was just like, you know, my faith, and then continuing to believe in myself and waking up, looking myself in the mirror and taking responsibility for my actions. It was like, listen, you got yourself in this hole. It's you the only person that can get you out is you and God. And so for me, that's what it was.
Did you see like other teammates like going D1, or like you see like friends, hey, you should be D1, and then you're not there? And so was it kind of just you and maybe your family too, but you and your faith that really brought you through? And like, how did that, like you said, what would you do to really exercise your faith during that time?
And I'm from a small town, so everybody knows you. And when you're that athlete that everybody knows, it's like, oh, where are you going? This and that. So it's like, I had to deal with that. And then I come from a family, athlete family. So it's like, we've had guys go Division I. We've had guys do great things, but we also had guys that had the talent, that could have went far, but chose not to because it got hard or because of the situation. And so I could have went either way. For me personally, it was like, I didn't want to be another, you know, statistic in a way, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be another one of those guys who just come home and people be like, oh, where you working at now? And I'm at the corner store or something like that.
Right.
And not to disrespect anybody, but it's, I just didn't want to fall under that category. And so, like I said, it was just really praying every day. And like, I started to meditate and started to, like I said, really take responsibility for everything that I did. And not only did it help me grow as a basketball player, but it helped me grow as a man.
It sounds like you were able to overcome that hump. And then when you went to junior college, your second year, you won the National Junior College Championship and you got MVP. So that was a whole 180 flip there. So what do you think kind of led to that moment and how that impacted you?
Man, like I said, it was God, man. Like, he works in mysterious ways. Like, we think everything's supposed to be handed to us right when we want it, but his timing is perfect. And he never makes a mistake. And so, like, like I said, as a 17-year-old kid, you thinking like, why is this happening to me? Why am I not getting what this guy's getting? Why are these offers not coming? But I didn't understand at the time. And so, like I said, even after my first year, even after my freshman year, I thought, okay, I'm finna go Division I after, because I had a solid year. I had a year good enough to go Division I, but coaches didn't come call it. Right. And so that was another time where I had to be like, man, what is going on? Like I had to really be like, okay, listen, you're gonna be fine. Like, don't worry about it. COVID hits. So when that hits, like I said, I went back into that mode. When I went back home, I was like, all right, listen, they doubted you this year. You went through your first year. You did what you're supposed to do. It still didn't work out. Don't worry about it. You've been here before. You've dealt with this before. So now as I got older, I wasn't the same kid I was as a senior. I understood things a little bit more. And so, like I said, that COVID summer, I had 4 months of straight just workouts. And so when you give me that much time, man, it was like, all right, look, I'm about to change everything. Change my body, change my mindset. And going into that second year, it was like, I don't care who it is. LeBron James could be on the other team. Like, I'm going to kill him. Like, he got to get it tonight. We can be friends later, but he got to get it tonight. And so going into that second year, man, I was on a mission. And I had teammates that were on missions too. Like, I felt like that team that was put together, we all felt the same way. Like, everybody doubted us. Nobody wanted us anymore. Like, everybody, looked over us. And so that team that second year was like, all right, listen, it don't matter who it is. Like, they ain't beating us tonight.
So all those luck failures, they added up and you learned from those lessons. So is that kind of like, what is your mentality on failure now? Like, whenever you have a bad game or have you don't have a bad season yet, but even just like a bad game here and there, what do you think about failure?
You gotta let it go. You got 24 hours to grieve, whether it's good or bad, and let it go. Cause you can't go back and change it. That's how I think about it now. And I really try not to look at it as bad games anymore. Now that I've got older, I may have off shooting nights. I may turn the ball over 3 times, 2 times, whatever the case may be. But now who I am now, I can affect the game in so many different ways. I try not to be like, okay, you had a bad game just because I didn't score. Fill the stat sheet up. And so, like, it may be nice where I can't buy a bucket, but I look at it like, okay, so how you going to affect the game in other ways? Like, being a good teammate could just help my team win, or just being there clapping, telling them that they're okay. Like, it's not always about me anyway. And so, like, my individual performance is not always what matters. Yeah, it'll help the team if I have a good game, but it's not about me. It's about me helping the team in any way I can. If me scoring that night is not what we need, then, I got to find other ways to impact the game.
You won that national championship at community college, and you came to UNT, and you had a great year right off the bat. A lot of athletes, when they first get to D1, it's the whole year is a struggle because they're not used to that level, but you're already prepared for that because of community college. So, yeah, what kind of led to that first year where you did really well? And in your words, how was that first year?
Believe it or not, man, it was like I said, when I was going to JUCO, it was kind of the same thing when I got here. It was a little struggle, man. The game was so much faster, so much physical. These guys were huge when I got here. They looked like giants for me. It was a struggle. It was a learning curve. And so it was so many different things I did not know about basketball until I got here. And that's a big shout out to my coaching staff, Reem, Matty B, Hodge, Mac, Coach Shaw, Louie, all them guys, like Clay. It was a lot I did not know until I got around these guys. And I was blessed to be around the coaching staff and the teammates that I had, J.J. Murray, Thomas Bell, Dres McBride. What those guys do on a daily basis, the way they go about their business, the way they go about life and basketball, like, I couldn't do anything but learn from those guys. They were just always telling me, be confident. Just continue to be confident in yourself. Be you. Like, we brought you in to be you. And so when they would tell me that, and then, like, it's weird, when I first got here, the first, couple months of practice, Mac used to kill me about shooting the ball. Like, I wouldn't take shots because I didn't want to be selfish. Like
Mhm.
I was like, man, I'm not trying to outshoot everybody. Like, you know, these guys' team, this Thomas Bell team,
Mhm.
this is Dredge McBride team, JJ's team. So I'm like, man, I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes, man.
Right.
I just want to fit in.
Mhm.
Man, Coach Mack, JJ, first couple guys, Dredge was like, if you don't shoot the ball, like it's gonna be a problem. Like you're gonna have to see me in the locker room. It's like they would tell me in the middle of the game, like, shoot the ball, we're gonna lose.
Yeah.
And so like just them having that confidence in me, me
Mhm.
being new, them already being in the program, and me being new and them guys believing in me that much, it was hard for me not to believe in
Right.
myself.
You might have struggled the first months or couple weeks, but you're turning it around. And if I'm not mistaken, you made 5 game-winning or game-tying buzzer beater shots, and that's just one season.
Yeah.
So you have the clutch gene, you have ice in your veins, all that. So how do you thrive under pressure? If you were able to give some piece of insight to other people, other athletes, how do you thrive under pressure?
I never feel like that's pressure anymore. You know, it's a basketball game at the end of the day. It's not life and death. A doctor trying to save someone in the ER is pressure for me. Or like I heard a quote one time, Tylor said, a mother trying to feed 3 boys with no father figure in the house is pressure. This is just basketball at the end of the day. And so like I enjoy the moment. I love it. You can ask any of my teammates. I'm laughing before games. I'm laughing during games. And don't get me wrong, I take it serious, but I enjoy it. As athletes, we tend to forget that this is a basketball game at the end of the day. This is just a sport, and it's a privilege to be playing this. So we put so much into it. We stress ourselves about it so much we forget to enjoy it. We forget to have fun. And so like I said, for me, it's not even pressure anymore, man. It's just I've worked so hard to get here. I've put in the work, and it's time for me to enjoy it. And now when the time comes, it's like you put in the work, now make the shot.
I think of Steph Curry when I think of like enjoying the game. He's a stone cold killer when he comes to shooting threes, but he's dancing and enjoying during the game, before the game, all that. But he's still performing well. But yeah, on the topic of failure, have you ever missed a buzzer beater? Like, have you had a really bad shot that just messed you up for a couple days after?
Absolutely. Actually, our last game last year against Virginia, I missed the game winner. It was a 3. We're down 2. I missed the game winner. That one stuck with me for a little bit because it was the end of our season. So those type, will stick with you for a little bit. You'll want those back. But at the end of the day, you got to move on. Just like you got to move on for the good ones. I can't sit there and be like, man, I wish I could have that back every day of my life because, like I said, I can't go back and change it. And so just like when I hit one, it's fun and dandy when you see your name on social media and this and that or whatever. But at the end of the day, you got to keep it pushing because you got another game, you got another shot you got to make, and you got other business you got to handle. So it's like you can't dwell on it, be thankful for it, and try not to forget to enjoy the moment, of course, but you got to move on.
Yeah, it's interesting that like almost everyone who makes a lot of buzzer beaters, like yourself, they all have a story of where they missed a buzzer beater. Like no one really talks about that, but everyone who makes all these shots, it's not just they don't do it every time. You're always gonna fail. So, and how do you use that failure moving forward?
You just learn from it. You go back and watch film. You go back and evaluate what you did, or you probably don't even want to be in that position to have to hit shots like that. You know what I'm saying? What could you have done to prevent the game from being that close or stuff like that? And like I said, you got to move on. You'll get those shots over and over in your career for certain people, and I try not to shoulder it too much. You know what I mean? And as much as I already tried, I put the game on my shoulders. I try not to be like, man, if I made that shot, then that's the reason we lost. You know what I mean? And so it's like, what could I did 20 minutes before that to prevent that? Like, I missed a decent defensive assignment. They scored off that. You look at it like that more now than just being like, man, I missed a shot and we lost the game. Like, it's my fault.
Now we can get into your mindset. We talked a little bit about your story. Now we can get your mindset. So what are some things that you do to take care of your mental health and the ups and downs of sports?
I meditate a lot. Like I'm still big in my faith. Of course, I pray 4 or 5 times a day. When I wake up, before I go to sleep, in the middle of the day, things like that. When I'm driving for games, I go sit on the court right before we start warming up, and I pray and I meditate, and I'm out there just easing my mind. And it's a lot we have to deal with as athletes, man. And I think personally we have one of the hardest jobs in the world, keeping up with school. Your sport, giving to your team, everything to your team, then trying to give everything to your family, then you're being pulled in this different way and by friends and all that stuff. And now we're in the league of NIL and you got your social media and you worried about what fans say and stuff like that. I think we as college athletes period, man, deal with so much. we forget a lot of times that we have to sit back and just enjoy it, enjoy the moment and take it all in, because we put so much pressure on ourselves to be so good and our team to be so good, and we want to get to the next level, and we want this NIL deal, and we want to make our fans proud. And it's tough. It can get hard. It can get extremely hard. I've had my times where I've just been like, man, I don't know if I can do this. Like, this is hard. Like, this is tough. Like, these people saying this stuff about me, and the space I'm in now is just like, man, fans gonna have an opinion what they say, no matter what. People gonna have their opinion. Your family's gonna have their opinion. All that matters is how you feel about yourself and how you make your teammates feel about you and your coaches. And so I think it comes with age and maturity and going through things. And I went through my fair share in college basketball, and now I'm at that point where, you know, I don't try to let too much outside noise bother me or let too much anything just affect me at all.
Yeah, I like what you said about how sports are one of the toughest jobs in the world, because an accountant or someone who does like a regular job, just imagine you had, you know, thousands of people watching you. They have people on social media counting your performance. If you do well, if you don't do well, they're going to judge you after the game the next day. So just imagine all that added to sports, and then add on school to that too.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you meditate? How do you block out the noise and release yourself from that? Like if you were to tell people like your practice of meditation.
Well, I usually wake up in the mornings. Sometimes I'll turn everything in my room off, make it dark, or sometimes I'll just have some type of music playing. And I'll just sit there for about 15, 20 minutes, depending on how much time I got. And I'll just clear my thoughts, you know, think whatever negative thought I have, positive thought I have, and I'll clear it all out. You know, I'll tell myself, like, you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay no matter what happens today, what happens tomorrow, or what happened yesterday. Like, you're okay. Game days, for instance, I wake up and I go look in the mirror and I tell myself, like, you a bad man. Like, don't forget it. And so I think that's the first thing, is telling ourselves, like, how we feel about ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I wake up in the mirror and go tell myself, like, look, man, you ain't no good. You gonna struggle today, whatever case might be. That's probably what's gonna happen. I truly believe in what you say. Your words are powerful. Your tongue is powerful. And how you feel about yourself, how you view yourself really is important. And like I said, I wake up every day and just tell myself, like, you him. And don't forget it. Like, no matter what nobody says, like, you him.
How do you build your confidence? Because it sounds like you're a pretty confident person. You're taking buzzer beater shots and everything. Is affirmations a big part of it? Like, what do you tell yourself, you know, during a game? What do you tell yourself, like you said, in the morning? It's those affirmations that really help you build that confidence?
Believe it or not, man, I was not always confident like this. I struggled for so long with my image, dealing with my weight. People, no matter what I did in basketball, man, no matter what I did in life, like, people always had something to say about my weight, the way I looked, the way I was small, I couldn't jump, whatever the case may be. At one point in my life, I wouldn't take pictures. It had really got to me. I was like, man, like, I hated looking at myself. Like I didn't want to go in the mirror and look at myself like I did. Like I said, I wouldn't take pictures. It was places I wouldn't go anymore. Like, just because I didn't want to be seen. Like it hurt. I was tired of being judged. At the same time, it was like, all right, look, all these people gonna have something to say regardless. Like, no matter what you do, you've gotten this far and people still have something to say. Like, why are you still worried about it? You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, at a certain point, I had to be like, all right, okay, so what? Now what? Like, you know, I just keep going. You know, the train just didn't stop. And so I refuse to let now those comments or people like that try to take my peace away, because, you know, that's what I'm all about now, is just, you know, finding my peace and being mentally stable and being mentally, like, being okay. You know what I mean? And, you know, sometimes it's okay not to be okay. And, like, I had to tell myself that, like, you don't got to be strong all the time, but, like, just don't let nobody interfere your peace. Like, you know, take it all in the same way, the good, the bad, the ugly, and, you know, keep it pushing.
And so those affirmations, is there something you have to get in every day? Like, or what are some things that you have to do every day to really ensure your confidence, ensure your positive mental state of being?
I don't think I have something that I do, like, every single day, because I don't want to be like, all right, if I don't do this, now I'm messed up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I try not to be, like, superstitious about anything. I used to be terrible at that, like, especially when it came to basketball. I was like, man, if I don't wear a certain pair of socks, like, I'm going to play terrible tonight. So it was like, I try to get away from being superstitious, but I try to meditate at least 4 or 5 times out the week. I try to do yoga 3, 4 times. So it's like, it's not really anything like, all right, look, you got to do this every day. But I do wake up every day and do tell myself, like, you're going to be okay. Like, I may not wake up every day and be like, you're him, but I will wake up every day and be like, you're all right, don't worry about it, you cool.
That's important to tell yourself that. But in those moments where have you had a crowd where they're booing you, or especially since you're a really, really good player, they're gonna call you out and stuff. So how do you deal with that in the game when you can't really physically block that out? How do you deal with criticism from other people, trash talk? How do you deal with that?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, man. I think it makes the game so much better.
Mhm.
Like I said, we were just in Arizona
Mhm.
playing Grand Canyon, and they have one of the craziest student sections I've ever seen in my life. Like, I've been in some crazy environments and rival games, but Grand Canyon, whew, I feel bad for whoever rival school that is, because we weren't even at Grand Canyon University. We were at the Phoenix Suns Arena. And it was at least 300 students in there, 300, 400 students in there, not even counting their fans.
Exactly. Yeah.
I enjoy being a villain sometimes,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I feel like sometimes it's okay to be the villain.
Yeah.
And like I said, one of my favorite, movie characters is the Joker in Batman.
Yeah,
Love him.
Mhm.
And so environments like that,
Mhm.
I think it makes me play better.
Mhm.
When the crowd gets to talking and the players get to talking. And I try not to do too much talking,
Yeah,
because then you take away from the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I try not to do too much. I may chatter a little bit, but man, I love it.
Is there a spur maybe from that Grand Canyon game or from another trash talk that sticks out to you, but then you're able to use that and score, game winner or something like that? Do you remember one situation?
I got a couple, man.
Yeah, I bet.
Starting back in high school, I was at Springdale Harbor. We were playing our rival Springdale. Man, they gonna be mad about this one, man. This will forever go down in history. But back and forth all night. One of the craziest, best games I've ever been. I'm a freshman at the time, so it's like I'm the only freshman on the floor. Well, so second overtime, they go up. They're up 2 with like 4 seconds to go. We had just fouled or missed a shot. We had to foul, whatever the case may be. Devon Young, I'll never forget it. He's at the free throw line. And one of the times I'm sitting there like, please let him miss this. Like, ball rolls in and out and off the rim. I sprint to get it. I'm dribbling at half court. I see Devon trying to cut me off. And as he comes and cuts me off, he bumps me a little bit. And I sold it, made it look like he pushed me out of bounds. And I just threw the ball up, man. I ended up missing a shot. 0.4 seconds left. I go to the free throw line, make all 3 free throws. And we beat our rival. And it was one of the craziest nights ever, man. I mean, sold out gym. Probably those free throws I shot at the end of that game had to be the loudest gym, loudest crowd I've ever heard in my life. But it was so weird, though, because at the same time they were so loud, I couldn't hear them. Like, that was one of the times it was like I was in stealth mode. Like, I had blocked them out, all 3 free throws, ended the game, and one of the best moments ever. Then again, UAB last year, we're at UAB. The game of the week in the country, I believe. Me and Jordan Walker, everybody's talking about this, whatever. And, like another one of them games, back and forth. And honestly, they should have won that game. They were up like 6 with like 50 seconds left. And big play after big play happened. And we got to the end. And lo and behold, man, Trey Jameson switched on me, had his hands down, and God bless me.
Game over right there. So yeah, you got to talk to us about like getting in the zone and flow state. They call it. Basketball's really big on that, getting in the zone. It sounds like you know how to get in the zone. How do you get to that place where, like you said, there's loudest gym you've ever been in, but you don't hear any of it, and you're able to knock down those 3 free throws in a row? So how do you kind of get to that space?
Whoever plays sports, it's when you get in this feeling that you have, your body gets warm and but you feel like you out there floating. And when you locked in like that, there's nothing that can bother you. And so like when you get in that moment, when I get in that moment, I feel like I'm the best player in the world. And so I feel like a lot of times I'll try to get in that moment. I'll try to just lock myself in. Like, listen, like you got to make a play. And it usually happens before that play. Like it usually happens in the middle of the game is when I start feeling that. By the time I get to that situation, I'm already so locked in, like I'm not really worried anymore.
Yeah, I think it's like a combination between like just being present in the moment and then also your preparation behind the scenes. What's kind of your preparation behind the scenes like now? Do you pride yourself in like outworking your opponents, other people?
I try not to look at anybody else's work. I think anybody that's good in their sport or good in college or whatever case may be, I think they are hard workers because you have to work hard to be good in anything. So I try not to be like, all right, look, I'm going to outwork him, whatever the case may be. I just try to set an example for my teammates or for younger kids or for anybody that's watching me. Like, listen, working hard is not going to be the reason where y'all say Tyler's downfall. The odds are already stacked against me. Being smaller, coming from a small town, not coming from a basketball family or what the case may be, like everything's already stacked against me. So it's like I had to work overtime.
Mhm.
One of the things is I've always prided myself in is working hard. I watched my mom and my dad slave to make sure me and my brothers were fine. So it's like, if they can get up and go every morning and not ever complain to me, why can't I go work on my basketball game for 2 hours? Like they're going to work 8 hours, but if I can't go do this for 2 hours, then I shouldn't be doing it. You know what I'm saying? And so like I really prided myself on that, and you know I feel like it's gotten me to where I am because of how much work I put in.
You said you're small. I mean, it's relatively. I mean, tall and mean and everything, but in basketball standards, it's everybody has to be 6'11", all that,
Right.
crazy. But how do you use your size or to your advantage? Like, how do you still benefit from being your size?
Just my heart.
Mhm.
I think my heart is bigger than my body. It's funny that me and my coaches were just talking about this just the other day. When we walk out on the court and other team is walking out, they probably look down and be like, "That's Perry."
Yeah,
like they probably really look at me and be like, "That's who that is." I accept it. I love it, man, because it's like, yeah, this is all you get. Like I ain't big. I ain't that big. I'm not super muscular. I'm not fast. But for me, it's just my heart. Like I believe in myself so much when I get out there. Like, I don't feel like anybody can guard me. I don't feel like anybody's gonna stop me no matter what. And I be really feeling like the only person that can stop me is me. I think at this size that you gotta have that mentality. Because everybody's already thinking, well, he's small, so we're gonna do this to him to keep him from doing this, whatever. And this is like it's my will against your will. And I feel like I'm cut from a different cloth, and there's nothing you can do. You have no answer for me.
Is there any way you could like teach that? Because the biggest thing I do like to get stories of athletes and then be able to get these moments that I could apply to other people and everything. So I know you said affirmations. You said just work behind the scenes. Is there anything else that really helps you develop that belief in yourself and confidence?
I think it starts early.
Okay.
You know, I think people can develop a dog in them. If they're capable of it, you know what I'm saying? And it started early with me. I got 2 older brothers who used to who used to kill me, man. And so they put me through it. And so, you know what I'm saying? So from an early age, especially my brother Timothy, man, there was so many one-on-one battles with him. It was just like, and I couldn't beat him. He was so much bigger than me. It was just like, it was so frustrating. So I used to go in the house during the day, just tears, like just why can't I beat him? And then everybody around me, I was around a lot of older people, older cousins and stuff who would not let me have my way, who would not give me anything easy. Like everything I got, I was gonna have to work for it. And like they, you know, from like I said, early age, they were like, listen, we don't care how good you are, we're not gonna let you beat us no matter what. And so I think from then on, it was just like, okay, I got something for you. And so like now when I go home, it's payback 24/7. So like
you can do all of them. You can beat all of them.
It's payback, and that's how I feel now, man. It's like, man, I done already faced Goliath, man. I had 2 older brothers that would beat me up for 10 years. I'm like, what you say, what you try to do ain't nothing compared to them backyard one-on-ones that I had to go through.
That's big, yeah. Developing that competitive nature early, especially with family. So, what role does your family play in supporting you?
Oh, they're huge, man. They're my everything. You know, the craziest part is like they try to show you so much tough love, but there's so much fans of you, like they're so big supportive of you. It's hard for them to be so tough as they used to be. And don't get me wrong, like even after we were in the Bahamas, I didn't play one of my best games. My brother texted me and was like going off, like, what you out there doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he tells me 10 minutes later, like, don't worry about it, move on. And so them having my back the way they do now is like, I need it. You know, I wouldn't be here without them. The sacrifices they made and the stuff they did for me, it's like, I could never repay them for everything. And that has nothing to do with money or materialistic things, but just the words they would do for me, the one-on-one battles and, you know, just them being for me after games when I have a hard game or stuff like that. And it's just like, they play such a big part. Like I said, I wouldn't be here without them.
Keeping you accountable in addition to the support.
Keeping me humble.
Yeah, you humble, all
Absolutely.
that. You've been probably a leader on each of the teams that you've been on since you're such a quality player. So how do you lead your teams?
I've always led in my own way. We see a lot of things where guys lead by cussing guys out or talking crazy or getting on and going at them crazy. I lead in my own way, and I feel like I've always led the same way. And I feel like it's the reason guys follow me or guys love, you know, being on my team. I think I'm fun, loving, joking, but I'm also when it's time to get serious or when it's time to handle business, I think I handle my business. And for guys to see me laugh and joke and still be able to handle my business the way I do, I think that's why they're so drawn to me.
So is it mostly leading by example, being your fun-loving self, and then even just working hard in practice and training, all these workouts is mostly leading by example?
Absolutely. When they see you working hard, maybe it's going to inspire the next guy to work hard. And so, for instance, Kyle Huntsberry, when he first came in, he saw me in the gym every morning before practice working out. He was like, man, like, listen, I'm going to start working out with you. So just little things like that, man, it don't take a lot. For him to do that, maybe the next guy will do that now. So, like, now, in this year's team works, so everybody 1 through 15 works so hard. Well, I've never had to be like, you need to get in the gym. You need to do this, whatever, because they already set the standard. Like, listen, we're going to do this anyway. That makes my job so much easier when you have teammates that want to get better, when you have teammates that's striving to win. And so, when you're all after that same goal, it makes it so much easier.
Well, you said some great advice so far. Now I want to get into the final 5 questions. These are the final 5 questions asked all the athletes. So the first one is, what's the misconception about being a D1 athlete?
People think because we're a Division I athlete, or that we have all this stuff that we're given and we're blessed and to be put in so many different situations, people try to look at us like we're not human anymore. We are still human beings at the end of the day. We still have to wake up and, deal with the same problems that the regular person deals with. We're just on TV every other night. It's the only difference. And I think people tend to forget we have feelings. I know it looks good on the outside when you have all this social media stuff going on, NIL going on. Like, rather than the day, like, we have to still go home and face certain things at night. We have to face demons and such. And so, like, we're a person first, and then we're an athlete. And I think people just completely forget about the person and who we are on the inside. Because, like I said, we have souls. We have feelings. And so I think people just don't want to acknowledge that part of it.
That's good. And regarding social media, side note, is do you kind of stay off it certain like times, or like maybe after a big game you don't want to check it too much, or like how do you kind of take care of your mental health in that aspect?
Those who support you the most, or who really love you, after your bad games, that's when you'll get a text, when you'll get a call. And so, like, that's what I wait on. Like, the bad games, who's hitting me up then? And so after the good games, everybody wants to text you. Everybody wants a part of it. And so, like, for me, it's like I wait till after the bad games to see who's going to call or text. And those are the people who I know are really in my corner. And so, like I said, I try to take it in all the same, try not to get too high or too low because, like I said, you got to get up and do it again the next day.
Exactly. All right. The second question is, what's your worst conditioning workout of your career? It could be from high school, could be community college, could be D1 college. What's kind of the worst?
Oh my goodness.
Workout?
We're at practice. We're not having one of our better practices. Scott Boland tells us, come to practice tomorrow at 6 a.m. We get to practice that morning at 6 a.m. There's no basketballs out there. Like, none. I've never seen nothing like this, so this is new for me. No basketballs. We get out there, man. And when I tell you, we ran, he put 60 minutes on the clock. We ran for an hour straight, all different type of conditioning drills. In the middle of it, like it was about 20 minutes to go. He asked us a question. It was like, what do you do if a guy traps right here? Or something like that. Some basketball question. We're not thinking about basketball right now. 3 guys answered the question right. He said no. He was like, no, that's not the right answer. Got back on the line. We get down to like 5 minutes. He asked us again. Guys blurting out the answer again. So we ended up having to finish the last 5 minutes. We get to the end, and he was like, you want to know what the answer was, this and that? And he was like, because I said so. And I'm just over there dying, like, bro, like, I was almost in tears in this practice. Like, it hurt so, my body hurt so bad. Like, it was like one of the worst conditions practice I've ever been in. And then JUCO, Jay Herkelman. If you went to Coffeyville, everybody know. If you went to Coffeyville, hell month is called September. It's September. We had a guy pass out my freshman year.
Pass out.
Running.
I've heard throw up. I haven't heard pass out.
During conditioning, he's running. My boy AD, he running, and he falls out. Like, for real, falls out. And he's on the ground for like 10 minutes, and Coach Herc is just sitting over there, just chilling, like, all right. He gets up. We call it up. He's still laying on the ground. And Coach Herc finally was like, AD, you owe me tomorrow.
No.
I was like, he's serious, bro.
Yeah.
Like, he for real. Like, he wasn't, and he had to finish conditioning before he could play.
That's crazy.
I was like, dog, shit. It's like, nah. Thank God September the next year, we didn't have to do as much because of COVID.
Yeah.
And I hate to say I was blessed, but I had gotten concussion during September,
okay.
so I missed 2 weeks.
During
So
the
I was
off-season?
like, cool, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel good. A good time to have it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You didn't say D1, so would you say that high school and junior college had worse workouts, or just they had crazier coaches?
Well, our practices here are harder than everything I've ever been through. But conditioning, conditioning in JUCO was the hardest thing I've ever been through, for sure, absolutely. But my practices here are extremely, extremely hard, which is, I think, why we don't condition as much. We condition, but we practice so hard, so long here, is why we don't have to condition as much.
Okay. And then now we can get the good moment. So what was the best moment of your career? I mean, I know you've hit some buzzer beaters. So is there one that sticks out, or just what's the best moment in your career?
Best moment had to be winning that national championship, man. That was a feeling like no other. It was like I had just committed and signed to North Texas.
You had that in the back of my
head. And so we had just won it, and it just felt like the weight of the world was just like jumped off my shoulder. And to win MVP, man, it was just like, God, I looked up and I was like, God, thank you. Like,
and I think it probably added to the fact that, you know, you just gone through such a low, like a year or two prior, and then to get that high already there, and then you get that UNT T-letter, so you already know that you're on the right path. So
I feel like I was on top of the world.
Right. And the next one is, what's your advice to some high school athletes coming into college that you would tell them about being a college athlete?
Stay true to who you are. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're going to go through ups and downs. You're going to go through trials and tribulations, but staying true who you are, staying true to your habits, staying true to what got you there. You're there for a reason. You were put in that position for a reason. So just continuing to believe in yourself, believe in those around you, and trusting in yourself no matter what, no matter if you aren't playing a lot, if you going through struggles with school, going through struggles off the court, because of people, like I said, have expectations. Like, staying true to yourself, because it's going to get hard. And everything on the other side of hard is good for you. So, so it's like just continuing to be true to yourself, continuing to be true to your craft and your work, and just believing in yourself.
And last one, how would you define the word winner?
I feel like I never lose. I run out of time. And so it's like sometimes a team is better that night. And sometimes a team shows up and they did exactly what they were supposed to do that night, and they executed and we didn't. And one game doesn't define you. One season may not define you, but how you continue to live your life after those losses, after you go through those things, how you continue to go about life and go about your teammates and go about things you want to do is what really matters. And if you go through that being positive and saying it's going to be okay, like I'm going to find out how to fix it and figure out ways how to fix it, not just talk about it, that's when you know you're on the right track to being a winner and continue to win in your life, not just in your sport.